This was the project that almost questioned my sanity. I'm not gonna get frustrated. I'm just gonna try again. It's my 1 year YouTube-Versary. That's right, it's been 1 year since my very first YouTube video. And it's kind of ironic that the video that I'm posting today on my 1 year anniversary is almost the same level of disaster as my very first one was. It's probably not fair to call that very first video a disaster because it taught me a lot. It taught me about not giving up and not giving up on the process, just trusting the process and trying new things. But this latest video, I really should have just cut my losses with this air dry clay because it just wasn't working. But just like the first video, I am not a quitter. When something doesn't work, I keep trying it until I'm like, you know what, this just isn't gonna flip and work. And if you want to see the entire video number 1, I will put a link in the description so you don't have to search my profile for it. So I tried 5 or 6 times to use this mold. It's a silicone mold. I tried 5 or 6 times with the air dry clay and I could not get the palm tree to demold in one piece. The trunk kept breaking off and I was getting really frustrated. I let myself get really, really frustrated. And I don't like to get frustrated when I'm creating art because then you lose you lose your motivation, and I did not want that. I don't want that ever. So I had to move on and try something else. So on to plan B, which was using alcohol ink and then resin. However, I used way too much alcohol ink, came out of the bottle way too fast, and so I had to clean it up and then try again. I thought I had ruined the mold. So I had to clean it up and start all over. I think the bottle was a little bit plugged up because the ink was not coming out, but I finally got it to work. This is Pinata Sapphire Blue, and then the other one is Pinata Opal. The UV resin I am using is Light Wish. Now here is a tricky thing with UV resin. The clear molds work a lot better with UV resin. So I knew I might have a little bit of an issue in this colored mold getting it to set up and cure, because the UV resin rays need to cure on all sides. And if your mold is colored, the UV rays cannot penetrate to the backside. I knew this was gonna happen. So it did take a couple of turns with the UV resin light to get it to cure and harden up adequately. And I 100% knew going into it with UV resin that the mold could pose a little bit of an issue with curing time. My lamp has a 60-second timer, and it took about 4 or 5 times under the lamp. And even then, the backside was still sticky, so I demolded it and stuck it under the lamp again. I'm using these palm trees on a matching set of pint glasses, so I made 2 of these. So the nice thing about working with this UV resin that is, even though it was still bendy enough that I could make it form to the shape of the glass, the round shape of the glass, but I still needed a way to make it stick. So after cleaning the glass again, I just put a little bit of UV resin on the back side of the mold and then tried to hold it in place, and I failed a couple of times, so I had to put it on another glass. And I'm trying to hold it in place as I'm using the lamp, but that wasn't working because the lamp rays, the UV resin rays, could not penetrate to cure the UV resin and make it stick. But after a few minutes, I kind of figured it out. I just needed to work in small areas and not try to add the UV resin across the whole thing. So I'm just working in small areas and then putting it under the lamp so that small area can cure, and then I just move on to the next spot. And this process actually worked out really well. I wanted to try something a little bit different with this second mold. I didn't want to leave it under the lamp for quite as long. I wanted it to be a little bit more bendy or bendier once I demolded it. And it was definitely more bendy. In fact, it was a little smooshy and sticky. It was really sticky on that top side. And I'm trying to be really careful and not touch it too much, but I knew that was a lost cause. So I went ahead and gloved up just so I could hold it down. It was very bendy. So what I'm doing is I'm holding it down and kind of bending it to form the glass, and then curing it in its bent state with the lamp so that it'll curve to the shape of the glass. And then I put the UV resin on the back, and I just stuck the lamp, I can't talk today, stuck the lamp inside the glass and was able to cure it just fine. And then just like I did the first glass, I'm just adding the UV resin as the glue in little bitty spots, not trying to do the whole thing, and then just curing each little spot as I go. And other than this mold being a little extra sticky, once I demolded it, it actually worked out a little bit better. For me, it worked out a little bit better. So I probably would do that next time. And this looks really, really good at this point. I really like the shape of it. It's nice and clean, but I still need to seal the edges. And I'm going to do that with the UV resin, one small area at a time, so the resin doesn't have a chance to run everywhere. And then that will give an extra bond, an extra security. And it also finishes off the edge so it doesn't look quite so harsh. It's just a more polished look. And this is all I'm going to do to the glass. It really does look like an embossed carving on the glass. I really, really love this look. And honestly, I don't think I did too bad with this being my first time. Now, let's be honest. Well, really, this is my second time doing it, or the second glass that I've made. The second glass, I love. The first glass, not so much. No one else would probably see the flaws, but I see the flaws, and I can't sell this glass. So I took my X-Acto knife, and I just peeled that mold right off. Cleaned the glass, and then I started over. I made a brand new one. And I made this one the same way as I made the second one, just a partial cure under the mold so it was still kind of bendy. And then I'm able to demold it while it's still kind of squishy and soft. And I've got a glove on so that my hand doesn't end up looking like Papa Smurf. A little bit of UV resin on the back, pop it on the glass while it's still soft, and then let the UV resin lamp do its work. And then I'm just going to work in little bitty areas, applying the UV resin like glue, and then finishing the edges so that it looks like a nice embossed relief mold. It's really just so pretty. Now, please don't go hating on me for taking off my glove. I really just do not like wearing gloves. I don't like the texture on my hand, so I don't wear them. And I really do not have any regrets about redoing that first mold. I made mistakes on it. I was trying something new, and I learned from those mistakes so that I was able to not make them on this last one and improve on that technique. And this is definitely a technique that I'm going to be doing again. Look how pretty these are. They need nothing else. These are, right now they're in my wet bar, and which I need to restock, but they are definitely going in my next art show booth. Thanks for watching.